Welcome to e-commerce psychology. We're going deep today looking at what really makes successful online stores tick, especially for you, the curious learner wanting to grasp why some e-commerce sites just work. This deep dive is powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you run smart discount campaigns on your store. Seriously effective stuff. You can actually test it for free on your Shopify store. Just pop over to the Shopify App Store, search Growth Suite, and give it a whirl. Today, we're really digging into the insights from the e-commerce conversion booster, Mastering Pricing and Presentation Psychology by Mohammed Tufekcipan. Our mission: to pull out the absolute must-know psychological bits that can turn your online store into a conversion powerhouse, focusing on stuff you can actually use without needing, like, a degree in coding or anything.
Yeah, but it's funny, isn't it? We often think online shopping is super logical.
Hmm.
People compare features, weigh the pros and cons, make rational choices. But the source material makes a pretty startling claim. Something like 95% of purchasing decisions, they happen subconsciously, driven by emotion, not cold, hard logic.
95%. Whoa, okay. That changes things, doesn't it? That's massive. It basically means all that time spent detailing every single spec might be less important than the initial gut feeling.
Pretty much. It suggests those immediate reactions are way more powerful.
Mm.
So how does the brain actually handle this? The author talks about this idea of the e-commerce brain.
Mm.
Think of it in three parts. First, you've got the reptilian brain, pure instinct. It makes snap judgments, like within milliseconds, about trust and risk. Is this safe?
Okay, that primal safety check first.
Exactly. Then there's the limbic system. That's the emotional center. It's where feelings, desires, that want factor get attached to products.
Ah, so that's the, ooh, I like this part.
Right. And then comes the neocortex. That's the logical, rational part we usually think is in charge. But often, its main job is just to justify the decision the emotional brain already made.
So sequence is key. Someone lands on your site. Reptilian brain. Looks legit. Safe. Okay. Limbic system. Do I feel good about this? Does it spark something? Yes. Then neocortex. Ah, yes. Look at these great features. This makes total sense.
You got it. And that's the big mistake many stores make. They jump straight to the neocortex, listing features, specs. They completely miss engaging those crucial first two systems, the instinct and the emotion, which are actually driving the bus, so to speak.
That totally clicks with my own shopping habits, if I'm honest. Buy something on impulse, then find all the reasons why it was a brilliant idea. So, with these brain systems operating, what's the typical psychological path a shopper takes online?
The source maps out a really useful five-stage journey. It starts, as we mentioned, with that initial trust assessment. Happens incredibly fast, like 0 to 8 seconds. Stanford research cited says 94% of that first impression is purely design-related. Visuals.
8 seconds? That's nothing. Basically, your site's look has to scream trustworthy instantly or they're gone.
Pretty much. It's a tiny window.
Yeah.
If you pass that check, you move into the emotional connection phase, say 8 to 30 seconds. Now the limbic system is asking, does this feel right? Do I vibe with this? Colors, images, the emotional tone of your words, huge here.
Okay, trust first via design, then connect emotionally through visuals and tone. Got it. Stage 3.
Value evaluation. This takes a bit longer, maybe 30 to 90 seconds. Here, they're weighing benefits against costs. And cost isn't just money. It's time, effort, potential regret. This is where your price presentation, social proof like reviews, and how you frame the benefits really matter.
So clearly showing the value, making it feel worth the investment of money, time, and even emotional energy.
Exactly. And running alongside all this, but peaking just before purchase, is risk assessment. The brain is scanning for downsides. What could go wrong?
Ah, the what ifs.
Right. Which is why things like guarantees, clear return policies, security badges, they're not just nice-to-haves. They actively combat that fear.
Makes total sense. Especially online, you need that reassurance. And the final stage.
Post-purchase harmony. After they buy, the brain wants confirmation. Did I do the right thing? This is your golden opportunity for loyalty. Reinforce their decision, make them feel smart. Thank you notes, shipping updates, follow-up. It all cements that positive feeling.
That after-sale care sounds critical for keeping customers coming back. Makes them feel good about the whole interaction.
Absolutely. And the big takeaway, underscored by Nielsen-Norman Group findings, is that the visual presentation in those first 10-20 seconds is king. It sets the stage for trust and emotional buy-in, get that wrong, and the rest barely gets a look in.
Okay, this subconscious stuff is fascinating. Let's dive deeper into those visuals then, because you said the brain processes images, 60,000 times faster than text.
Yeah, an incredible number. Visuals make powerful, immediate impressions. And color is a huge part of that. It's not just decoration. Different colors trigger specific neurological responses. Take blue to win in. It often activates the parasympathetic nervous system. Calm, Trust, security. Remember that HubSpot test? Blue CTAs beat red by 21% for finance products.
Yeah.
High trust needed there, right?
No. Right, okay. I always thought red was the action color for urgency.
It can be. Red stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, urgency, excitement. Conversion XL found red can boost conversions, maybe by 34%, especially for limited time sales. But context is everything. Green, for instance, tapped into nature, health, wealth in Western contexts, could lift conversions up to 40% for eco or wellness brands. Orange feels friendly, exciting. Performable found orange CTAs boosted conversions by 32.5%, and black often signals luxury exclusivity. A Rochester study showed black backgrounds could increase perceived value for premium items.
So it's definitely not one size fits all. It's about color appropriateness, as the source calls it, matching the color's vibe to your brand and product.
Exactly. Strategic use is key. Using contrast to make buttons pop, A/B testing colors with your audience, guiding the eye. There are even gender preferences noted. Joe Halleck's research suggests men lean toward bold, women softer tones, but both tend to like blue. But again, context rules.
Yeah.
And that University of Winnipeg study,
Yeah.
90% of snap judgments based on color alone. It just hammers home how powerful this is psychologically.
90%. Okay, color is definitely not just aesthetics, it's deep psychology. What about the product photos themselves, beyond just being clear?
Oh yeah, there's a lot more to it. Good images reduce uncertainty, which is huge online. Baymard Institute research shows showing 3+ angles can increase conversion by 27%. It simulates picking it up, turning it over in a real store, reduces that perceived risk.
Makes sense, replicates that physical interaction. What about showing the product in use, like lifestyle shots?
Very powerful. These trigger mirror neurons in the brain. We see someone using it, we subconsciously imagine ourselves using it. Creates desire. Shopify Plus data suggests this can boost conversions up to 40%. Also, things like scale references showing how big it actually is prevent disappointment, reduces returns maybe by 38%, and lead features let people inspect details, builds confidence. Baymard saw an 11–15% conversion lift there. Even the expression on a model's face matters. Positive expressions linked to positive feelings via those mirror neurons again. Stanford found 85% of shoppers rate images as the most influential factor, more than anything else.
85%, more than price or description. Wow. That's where the focus needs to be. The source mentions some advanced techniques too.
Right. Things like using directional cues in photos, maybe a model looking towards your call to action, guides the eye. Studies show this can increase reading of nearby text. The isolation effect, making one thing really stand out, leverages the von Restorff effect, making it more memorable. Using images in sequence to tell an emotional story increases engagement. Showing the after state, how life improves with the product, taps into aspiration. And user-generated content, like customer photos, huge for trust, can boost conversion by 27% or more. Salsify's research confirms this. People want multiple images, especially for pricier items, to reduce that uncertainty tax.
These are great practical tips. It's about using images strategically to answer questions, build desire, and lower perceived risk. What about visual hierarchy, how things are laid out?
Crucial, it's about guiding the eye naturally. The F pattern, for example, common in the West. People scan across the top, then down a bit, then across again. Put key stuff there. Size and contrast obviously matter. Bigger, bolder things get seen first. Use that intentionally. Directional cues like arrows or even where people in photos are looking can steer attention. CXL found gaze cues increase time on features. White space is an empty space. It increases focus on what is there. Wichita State research suggests up to 20% more attention. And the Z pattern helps guide the eye through sequential information, improving comprehension. Baymard found proper visual hierarchy alone boosts conversions by over 15% on average. It just makes it easier for the brain to process and find what's important.
So understanding these visual principles, color, images, layout, lets you design stores that connect subconsciously, guide users effectively, and ultimately encourage purchase. Really powerful stuff. Okay, we've covered the visual side. Let's shift gears to how we actually talk about the products. The source calls this product framing. How does the way we present information shape perception?
It's incredibly influential. The framing effect is a classic psychological principle. How you frame something fundamentally changes how it's perceived, even if the core facts are the same. Take loss versus gain framing. Kahneman and Tversky famously show we're more motivated to avoid loss than to achieve gain. Loss aversion is powerful. E-commerce tests mentioned show don't miss out. Messaging can outperform gain access by a significant margin, maybe 38%.
Interesting. So focusing on what they might lose by not buying can be more compelling?
Often, yes. Same with positive versus negative framing. 99% effective sounds much better than fails 1% of the time, right? Even though it's the same data. Positive framing boosted conversion by 30% in some tests, or framing as an experience versus just material possession. Cornell research found framing a purchase around creating memories rather than just owning something increased perceived value by 23%.
Ah, selling the experience, not just the object. I like that.
Yeah. And identity framing, positioning a product for people who value X rather than just as a commodity, can increase willingness to pay. And even temporal framing, how you frame benefits over time, immediate versus long-term.
Mm.
For health products, balancing both immediate and long-term benefits boosted conversion by 41%. A study in marketing science actually found that just changing the framing could lead to conversion increases anywhere from 9% to a whopping 44%.
So the words we choose, the angle we take, it drastically changes the perceived value and relevance. What about the product descriptions themselves? Any psychological tricks there?
Definitely. Using concrete sensory language like velvety smooth chocolate instead of just tasty chocolate activates the brand as if you're actually experiencing it. One study showed this increased desire by 28%.
Makes it more real, more tangible.
Exactly. Using psychological ownership language helps too. Saying, your new desk, instead of the desk, can subtly increase connection and potentially conversion. Focusing on the solution the product provides, the problem it solves, resonates strongly. Increases of 17-31% have been seen. And being specific, saves you 3 hours per week, is way more believable and impactful than just saves time. Specificity increased believability and conversion in some tests. Story-based descriptions can also be powerful, get people engaged, keep them on the page longer, and potentially convert them better.
So move beyond just listing features. Paint a picture, use sensory words, talk about solutions and specific benefits, maybe even tell a short story.
Precisely. Which leads directly to the benefit-focused versus feature-focused framing point. The source highlights that focusing on the benefit what the customer gains generally outperforms just listing features. Marketing experiments saw a 30% average increase, though the ideal approach is often a blend. Lead with the compelling emotional benefit, then back it up with the rational features that deliver that benefit. Gives both the limbic system and the neocortex what they need.
Benefit first, features second as justification. Makes sense. Now, what about social proof? Reviews, testimonials. How does psychology play into that?
Social proof is huge. We're social creatures. We look to others to guide our decisions, especially under uncertainty. It's that herd mentality. But how you use social proof matters. Specificity and testimonials, quoting exact results or feelings, is much more effective than vague praise. Wikijub found it 26% more effective. Using specific numbers for social proof, like 9,721 happy customers, is way better than just lots of happy customers, maybe 58% better.
Be specific, use real numbers. Got it. What about who is giving the proof?
Right. Authority figures work, but they need to be relevant authorities. A relevant expert endorsement can boost persuasion significantly, maybe 34%. An irrelevant celebrity could actually hurt trust. And the similar others principle is powerful. We're more persuaded by people we perceive as being like us. Testimonials from relatable customers can increase persuasion by nearly 30%.
So show proof from people your target customer can identify with. Interesting. Any pitfalls with social proof?
Yeah, there's a certification paradox. Slapping too many trust badges or certifications on a page, Baymard found more than 3 could actually decrease trust by 13%. Looks desperate or cluttered. But overall, the impact is massive. Spiegel Research Center found reviews can increase conversions up to 270%, especially for expensive or risky items. Interestingly, they also found that a perfect 5-star average isn't always best. An average between 4.2 and 4.5 stars often feels more authentic and trustworthy to shoppers.
Fascinating. Too perfect seems fake.
Mhm.
So authentic, specific, relevant social proof is key, but don't overdo the badges. Okay, let's talk price. This feels like a minefield of psychology.
Oh, absolutely. Price isn't just a number. It's a powerful psychological trigger that shapes perceptions of value, quality, even pleasure. Neuroscience studies show this. Higher prices can actually activate pleasure centers in the brain. The classic Stanford wine study is an example. People enjoyed the same wine more when they thought it was more expensive. That's the price-quality heuristic at work.
So we subconsciously associate higher price with higher quality, even higher enjoyment.
Often, yes. But there's also the pain of paying. MIT research using fMRI showed that seeing prices activates the insula, the same brain area associated with physical pain. So strategies that reduce that perceived pain, like splitting costs, bundling, making payment feel seamless, can increase conversion. Then there's the left digit effect. $299 feels significantly cheaper than $300, even though it's only a dollar difference. Our brain anchors on that leftmost digit. Eye tracking studies confirm we focus there.
The power of the number 9 ending.
Exactly. And processing fluency bias, simple, round prices like $100 can feel right or easier to process. Though sometimes, for luxury goods, slightly more complex or precise prices can signal exclusivity or careful cost calculation. And price anchoring is neurologically real. Seeing an initial price, even an irrelevant one, changes how subsequent prices are evaluated. Brain scans show this altered evaluation process.
So that first price they see sets the stage for everything else. Okay, let's break down those price endings more. The 0.99 charm pricing.
Right. Leverages that left digit effect. A study in marketing science suggested it boosted sales by around 40% compared to the round number just above it. It signals value or discount.
And the 0.00 ending.
That signals prestige, quality, often used for higher-end items. Cornell research found restaurants using round numbers were perceived as higher quality. Then you have unusual or precise endings like $47.83. These can sometimes suggest the price is carefully calculated based on cost, making it seem fairer or more honest according to the Journal of Consumer Research.
Interesting. So the ending sends a subtle signal about the product or brand.
Definitely. There are also psychological thresholds, big drop-offs in demand right at round numbers like $50 or $100, but demand recovers just below, like at $49 or $99. Gumroad data showed this. Culture matters too. In some cultures, like China, ending in 8 is considered lucky and has been shown to increase sales. William Poundstone, in his book Priceless, summarized research showing 0.99 prices consistently outsold rounded prices, sometimes by as much as 24%.
Okay, so the ending matters. What about the overall pricing structure, like offering different versions or tiers?
This is where things like the decoy effect come in, also known as asymmetric dominance.
Mhm.
It's fascinating. You introduce a third option that's clearly inferior to one of the other options, but not necessarily both, making the target option look much better by comparison.
Like making the premium option seem like a great deal compared to a slightly worse, slightly cheaper middle option.
Exactly. The classic example is the Economist subscription offer. They had web-only, print-only, and print plus web. The print-only was priced the same as print plus web. Adding that decoy print-only option dramatically shifted people to choose the most expensive print plus web option. Its take rate doubled. fMRI studies even showed decoys reduce the negative emotion associated with choosing.
Wow. So adding a strategically bad option makes the one you want them to choose look better.
Precisely. Then there's anchoring and adjustment. We talked about the neurological basis. In retail, showing the original price slashed before the discount anchors perception on the higher value. Studies show this increases perceived savings significantly. You can use premium anchoring to show a really high-end option first, even if most won't buy it, making your mid-range options seem more reasonable by comparison. Can lift average order value. Even extreme anchors, way above what you expect to sell, can increase overall revenue. Though anchors need to be somewhat believable, huge discounts over 70% can sometimes decrease credibility. Kahneman and Tversky found anchors can shift willingness to pay by 50%, even if the anchor is totally arbitrary.
Anchoring seems incredibly powerful. Set a high reference point and everything else looks better. What about discounts and promotions themselves?
Lots of psychology there. The source likely has a table outlining different types, but generally, percentage discounts feel better on lower-priced items. Absolute dollar discounts feel more substantial on higher-priced items. A Journal of Marketing findings suggests this kicks in over $100. BOGO, buy one, get one, offers feel like a windfall, tapping into greed or the appeal of free. Threshold discounts, save $10 on orders over $50, encourage higher spending to meet the minimum. Free gifts tap into reciprocity and add perceived value. Bundling simplifies choice and can make the overall price seem lower than buying items individually.
So the type of discount matters psychologically. And bundling, let's explore that more.
Yeah, bundle pricing has several psychological advantages. By avoiding a detailed price breakdown for each item in the bundle, you reduce the pain of paying associated with each individual cost. It becomes one single, often more palatable price. It leverages mixed gain perception. Bundling high-margin and low-margin items together can average out the perceived value, often making the whole package seem like a better deal. Suggesting specific bundles simplifies the decision process for the customer, reduces choice overload. Upton-Munster saw a 21% increase in AOV using suggested bundles.
Takes the guesswork out for the customer.
Right. And showing the combined value of items, if purchased separately, shifts the reference price, making the bundle price look more attractive. Marketing Sherpa found this increased purchase likelihood. It directly combats the paradox of choice. Fewer, well-curated options can actually lead to more sales, as shown in the famous JAM study, and applies here too. Bundle Simplify. There's a classic DVD bundle experiment mentioned, offering a bundle almost doubled conversion compared to selling DVDs individually.
Bundling seems like a really smart strategy on multiple psychological levels. Okay, let's move to urgency and scarcity. These feel like powerful but potentially tricky tactics.
They are powerful, definitely. They tap into our fundamental fear of missing out FOMO. But the key, as the source stresses, is ethical implementation, using them honestly to help people decide on things they already want, not to pressure them into things they don't.
Ethical use. Important distinction. What's happening in the brain with urgency?
Several things. It can trigger a cortisol response alertness, readiness for action. It activates anticipated regret, the negative feeling we imagine having if we miss out. It strongly engages loss aversion. Not acting feels like losing the opportunity. It pushes us towards cognitive closure, the desire to make a decision and resolve the tension. And successfully snagging a limited offer can activate the brain's reward centers, a little dopamine hit. Princeton neuroscience research showed deadline pressure increases activity in emotional brain regions, limbic system, and decreases it in rational ones, prefrontal cortex. We become more emotional decision makers.
So urgency literally makes us more emotional and action-oriented? How can we use this ethically? Limited time offers.
Yeah, that's a common one. Countdown timers are effective, which test 1 saw a 9% conversion increase. But they need to be real. Event-based deadlines, sale ends Sunday, work well. Using progressive urgency language, ending soon as the deadline approaches, can capture last-minute buyers. How you frame the deadline matters. And even when you show the urgency rest. Booking.com found urgency messages were more effective later in the day. A Journal of Consumer Research study found just adding a time limit to a neutral offer made it seem more attractive.
So clear, real deadlines, framed effectively. What about scarcity? Only 3 left?
Scarcity taps into perceived value. If something is rare, we assume it's more desirable. Inventory counters, only 3 left, are effective, especially on popular items. Booking.com saw significant lifts. Limited editions inherently create scarcity and can command higher prices and conversion rates. Showing recent demand, 15 people bought this in the last hour, uses social proof and scarcity. Highlighting previously sold-out items that are now back in stock leverages past scarcity. Setting allocation limits, max 5 per customer, can actually increase the average quantity purchased, paradoxically. Research showed perceived scarcity increases desirability. The Journal of Advertising Research found scarcity signals could increase purchase intention by 33% and lead to faster decisions.
Powerful stuff. But you mentioned ethics. How do we balance this with trust? People hate fake urgency.
Absolutely critical. First, the scarcity must be truthful. Research suggests a huge majority, like 76%, wouldn't return to a site they felt exaggerated scarcity. Kills trust instantly. Deadlines should be reasonable and have legitimate reasons. Don't just invent them constantly. Pairing urgency with strong trust signals is key. A guarantee displayed next to a countdown timer can dramatically increase effectiveness. One test saw a 107% lift. Using pressure reduction language alongside urgency helps too. Limited time offer plus free returns can boost conversion more than urgency alone. And ultimately, the underlying offer needs to have genuine value. People can spot fake urgency tacked onto a poor deal. Baymard found excessive urgency without trust is a major cause of cart abandonment.
So be truthful, be reasonable, pair with trust signals, and make sure the core offer is good. That's the ethical path. Okay, we're getting close to the finish line, the checkout process itself, a notorious drop-off point.
Huge drop-off point. Average cart abandonment is nearly 70%, and a lot of that happens right in the checkout flow. Psychology plays a massive role here.
What's the main psychological barrier?
Cognitive load is a big one. Basically, making people think too hard or do too much work. Nielsen-Norman group research suggests every unnecessary form field increases abandonment risk. Baymard found the average checkout has almost 15 fields, but often only 7 or 8 are truly needed. Reducing fields can boost conversion significantly, maybe 26%.
Streamline that form.
Exactly. Applying Gestalt principles to form design, making it look simple, grouped logically reduces perceived complexity. Showing a progress bar taps into the progress endowment effect. People feel invested and are less likely to abandon. Cognitive fluency is key, making it feel easy. Smart defaults, autofill options, clear labels. Amazon's one-click ordering is the ultimate example. Stanford research equated reducing cognitive load to a 20% price reduction in terms of conversion impact.
Making it easy is like giving a discount. Wow, what about trust during checkout, that final moment of commitment?
Trust becomes hypercritical here. Visual security signals those padlock icons. SSL badges aren't just decoration. Studies show they measurably increase feelings of security and conversion. Positioning guarantees prominently near the final buy button can reduce hesitation. Maintaining emotional continuity, keeping the look and feel consistent from the product page to the checkout, also reduces friction and abandonment. Offering immediate support options, like live chat, provides reassurance right when anxiety might peak. And the timing of trust signals matters. Reinforcing trust right before payment can boost completion rates. The underlying reason is heightened risk assessment. People are about to hand over money, so they need maximum reassurance.
Makes sense. Maximize trust signals right when the perceived risk is highest. And the payment part itself, reducing that pain of paying.
Yeah, payment psychology is crucial. First, offering diverse payment methods matters. WorldPay found 50% abandonment if a preferred method isn't available. Let people pay how they want. Even the positioning and design of payment options can reduce friction and abandonment. Offering buy now, pay later options like Afterpay taps into temporal error, discounting the immediate gratification feels better than the delayed cost. This can significantly boost conversion and average order value. Psychological chunking, framing a subscription as pennies per day versus a larger monthly fee, can make it seem much more affordable. And optimizing the payment form itself for clarity and ease of use drastically reduces errors and speeds completion. That MIT fMRI study showing the pain of paying is real underscores why making payment feel abstract, distant, or just incredibly smooth is so important.
So offer choices, make it easy, maybe defer the perceived pain. What about mobile checkouts? Any unique psychology there?
Definitely. Mobile is trickier due to screen size and context. Thumb zone optimization is key designing, so key buttons are easy to reach with one hand. Google UX research showed this improves accuracy and completion. Using progressive disclosure showing information in steps rather than all at once reduces perceived complexity on small screens. Avoiding context switching, like forcing someone to jump to a different app or site to complete payment, is crucial, as each switch increases abandonment risk. Offering mobile-specific payment options like Apple Pay or Google Pay is huge. They're much faster and can significantly increase conversion on mobile. Even simple things like designing for both portrait and landscape orientation can reduce friction. Google found applying mobile best practices boosts conversion by 27% on average.
Mobile checkout needs its own specific psychological considerations. Okay, they've bought the item. Transaction complete. Are we done?
Not at all. The post-purchase experience is absolutely critical for building loyalty and lifetime value. What happens after the click is arguably just as important.
Right, that post-purchase harmony stage we touched on. How do we reinforce their decision?
It starts immediately with cognitive dissonance reduction. People naturally seek confirmation they made a good choice. The order confirmation page and email are key opportunities. Validating their decision quickly within the first 30 minutes, research suggests can reduce returns, including social validation. You've joined thousands of happy customers. Reduces anxiety. Highlighting the future benefits they'll get from the product increases satisfaction. Making them feel part of a community can increase repeat purchases. Offering immediate digital gratification, like access to a guide or tutorial, decreases cancellations. It's all about making them feel smart and good about their purchase right away.
Cement that positive feeling immediately. What about shipping and delivery communication? That seems like a potential anxiety point.
Huge potential for anxiety or delight. Managing expectations is key. Under-promising and over-delivering on delivery times leads to much more positive responses. Proactive communication is vital. Sending updates before the customer asks reduces inquiries and increases satisfaction significantly. Visualizing the delivery process, like with a map tracker, can improve sentiment and reduce perceived waiting time. Building anticipation, your package is arriving soon, can enhance the unboxing experience. And how you handle delays is critical. Immediate notification plus maybe a small compensation can drastically reduce negative sentiment. This all taps into Kahneman's peak-end rule. People remember the most intense point, peak, and the end of an experience. Make the end positive.
So manage expectations, communicate proactively, and handle issues gracefully. What about the actual unboxing, physical first impression?
The unboxing is a massive opportunity. It's the first physical interaction with your brand for many online purchases. Sensory branding, the look, feel, even smell of the packaging can increase recall and repurchase intent. Adding an unexpected delight, a small freebie, a handwritten note taps into reciprocity and can significantly boost repeat purchases. Narrative packaging, that tells a story or has a unique design, encourages social sharing. The act of unboxing itself can feel like an ownership ritual, increasing perceived value. And making the packaging Instagram-worthy drives tons of user-generated content and free marketing. Research shows 40% of consumers would share photos of distinctive packaging.
That unboxing moment is a real marketing opportunity then. Beyond that, how should we follow up strategically?
Follow-up needs timing and relevance. Help customers activate the benefit of their product, maybe send tips or tutorials timed to when they'd likely start using it. Increases engagement. Deepen their psychological investment. Encourage them to customize it, use specific features, share their experience, increases usage and lifetime value. Timing feedback requests matters too. Ask for a review when they're most likely to be happy with the product. This varies hugely depending on the item. Suggesting relevant complementary products, timed appropriately based on usage patterns, can be highly effective for cross-selling. And creating unexpected value moments as surprise discount for loyal customers. Early access to new products builds goodwill and strengthens the relationship significantly. It's about continuing to provide value long after the initial sale. Research shows personalized follow-up leads to customers spending more over time.
It's about nurturing that relationship, continually reinforcing their good decision, and adding value beyond the product itself. Fantastic insights. So, to recap, we've journeyed through the subconscious drivers of online shopping, the immense power of visual psychology, the nuances of product framing and social proof, the deep science of pricing perception, the ethical use of urgency and scarcity, optimizing the crucial checkout phase, and finally, nurturing loyalty through post purchase psychology.
Yeah, it covers a lot of ground.
Yeah.
And the potential impact is huge: better conversion rates, higher average order values, lower cart abandonment, and ultimately greater customer lifetime value. It's about understanding the human brain behind the clicks.
Absolutely. So, the final thought for you listening, which one or two of these psychological principles could you realistically start testing or implementing this week? What small change could create a more intuitive, satisfying experience for your customers, build a stronger connection, and ultimately grow your business? That wraps up this deep dive for e commerce psychology. Remember, this exploration was powered by Growth Suite. If you want tools to implement smart discount strategies based on some of these principles, check out Growth Suite. Test it free on the Shopify App Store. Thanks for joining us.